Okay, this is a brief video to describe some of the automation interfaces for all of our devices. I'm going to use a stethoscope here as the example, but all of our devices are built on Linux platforms and have web servers that interact with the device drivers inside using an Ethernet port. And that port uses a Skippy-like command structure, if you're familiar with automation in general. And so we're going to take a look at that. For example, here's a stethoscope that I have. If I go to that stethoscope's page, let's see, I have the pulsar set from a previous test, so I'm going to set that there. I'll go to the step response view and ask it to align on its square wave. And here's the square wave that's pulsing on itself. I've just got two terminators running. So I can see my amplitude is pulsing at a certain size. Now, if these are ways that I can send these commands, if you will, down through the website GUI. However, I could also use, for example, any kind of telnet connection. This is a PuTTY interface, for example. And if I open this up here, and let me bring that into view here, and hit character return, now this is the driver inside any of our devices answering to that port. This is port 923. If I send, there are certain commands, for example, a property command, where it'll dump all the properties of the instrument. Or I could say PR, give me the I don't know, anything that begins with a C, calibrations or constants. And I can see my TDR, all the parameters having to do with TDR, or my pulsar, anything having to do with my pulsar. These commands I can type here manually, and that is as good as doing them automatically. For example, here I see that the pulsar amplitude was set to 200. Out of curiosity, I'll change that pulse amplitude, ample, space, maybe 250. Hit enter. And now if I went to do a single on my graph, I would see that my waveforms are bigger up here at 500. Because I've just changed my amplitude. Being able to interact with this manually at a command line prompt is useful. One of the other features that we built into a stethoscope, because we do a lot of our own automation work. In fact, our entire user interface over the web uses the exact same remote control interface that you have access to there. We have a log feature and a traffic feature. If I turn these on, I can actually see what is done when I go about making a command change. So, for example, if I go about changing that pulsar amplitude from the 250 that I just changed it to back down to 200, then it's going to show me what the command is it sent, pulse : ample 200. This is very helpful for the software team to go through and manually do the interaction that you want to do, be able to document what the commands were that are done underneath the hood, if you will, so that you could then provide code and be able to do that work yourselves. Now, to understand how to code for this, we also provide some tools. You can look in the help system on any of the instruments here, and in the help there's an area about, let's see, down here, automation. If I go to the automation, it gives programming guides and examples and different, for example, this is the list of the commands, the Skippy commands that can be used to set things. You also have examples of how to connect through that PuTTY interface if you want to do a telnet connection. And there's C code examples on opening up, sending files. There's example code that would compile for providing file transfers or accesses to any of the properties. Now, in addition to that, more recently, we've been helping our community by, if I go to my homepage here, by providing a complete Git repository. And if I bring up the Git repository here, I click on that page, I can see that both in C++ as well as Python, there are examples that will build to be able to interact with any of our devices. Different ones are for different things. For example, this one is presently set up for stethoscope, but you see can see the examples of how to communicate using the Skippy-like ASCII commands for doing that. Again, any of the features that you see our user interface performing are features that can be done by anyone, because we are using those exact same commands. So if you have questions on automation, remote control, drop us a line, use our support link in the support page there, and we can get you in touch with the right people to help you get started on your automation interface.